All right, I've had a few people make comments to me when I talk about the big spinnerbait and the big swim baits, the big glide baits. They ask how they express the thought that it's hard to get confidence in something like that, the big spinnerbaits or the big glides or whatever. So I'll address that the best I can, and I'll do the spinnerbaits first because they're the easiest. So we'll start there. All right. There's two ways to look at it. The spinnerbaits. Big, or I guess there's really three ways. Big, heavy, or big and heavy. Just from the get-go, the heavy will get you more bites and catch you more fish because you're going to get it closer to the fish. That's just, that's just logic. It's not really open for debate. It's like the analogy I use to say, if you've got a crankbait, a little shallow running crankbait that runs 2 feet deep, and you want a crankbait, you want it to run deeper. Well, there's not much you can do about it except get a deeper running crankbait. Well, spinnerbaits don't come in depth ranges. They come in weights and blade configurations. So if you want a spinnerbait to get deeper, you're going to have to get a heavier spinnerbait. Doesn't necessarily have to be big unless you're hunting for big fish. But by adding weight to that spinnerbait, it's going to run deeper. Just, some little thing like that, that's a pretty big blade, but just a little old thing like that, it's not going to run very deep. Well, unless you're fishing in just dirt shallow water, most fish aren't going to come from 8 to 10 feet deep all the way up to the surface, so like to hit a little something like that. So if you get it down closer to them, the odds are a whole lot greater that you're gonna get bit. So just simply by adding weight to your spinnerbait, regardless of what kind it is, it's going to help. So, but now if you want to get into the bigger fish, then that's when you get into the bigger blades. But even this little bitty thing right here, this little mini me, that thing weighs an ounce. Doesn't look it, but it does, because the way they're made, they've got that extra weight built in to the head that goes down on the hook. So that little thing weighs an ounce. This big thing here is clearly a little bit bigger, but it weighs less because it doesn't have that weight. So there you go for starters. Add weight. Now if you want to start getting into the bigger and catch bigger fish, there we're going to get into something like this. That's a number 8 Colorado. That's a number 5 Colorado. This spinnerbait weighs a little bit more. Well, this one weighs 2 1/4 ounces. It's heavy. You can chunk it a mile. Oh, another thing I wanted to get to about these little spinnerbaits, that wire, that 035 wire. They're all made with it, all the little ones. But after you catch a few fish on it, they're going to straighten it out. You're going to bend it back. You're going to straighten it out. And after about 5 or 6 fish, it's going to either snap right here or right here. So you're either going to get back this part or this part. If you're lucky, you get back this part and hopefully a fish attached to it. No guarantee of that. Or you get back at least this part with the swivel and the blade. The bad thing is you got a fish running around there with a lure stuck in his face and he may die eventually. But I hate that flimsy wire. All right. And I hate the R-bend. I don't care what size wire it is. I hate that. All right, so back to the big bass. Twist eye, 045 wire. This thing, when you throw it out, and I recommend throwing it on the correct tackle with heavy line, braid. I wouldn't use less than 50. I use 65. You throw this thing out and just winding it back at a normal speed, it's gonna tear up the bottom 6 feet deep. If you want it, it'll run a little deeper if you want it to. I mean, I fished the thing comfortably in 15 feet of water and caught big fish on it. But just by adding weight, that's going to get you more fish. If you want to get bigger and heavier, well, that's another ball game. But again, this one has the twist eye. That's something I'll look for. I ain't buying a big spinnerbait with a friggin' R bend on it. Now, you know, you've got to be able to have had a little bit of success with spinnerbaits somewhere down the road, so you know the right kind of places to throw them in. But just like I say, simply by throwing them deeper, you're going to catch more fish, and that's going to give you confidence in it. Now, like I say, you can up your game if you want to. And here's the other end of that spectrum. That's a number 10 blade. This whole rig weighs 2.5 ounces. I always want to run a trailer hook on it. 3/0 Gamakatsu, if you can get them. If not, I use VMCs or something like that. But 3/0. This is a whole nother ball game. And I've made me some different versions of it. And what's crazy is look at that blade. I've got a fan going back here to kind of make it a little more tolerable. That's insane. Those are some good swivels. I got that version. Then I got that version. Those blades are insane, the way they turn. You can see why I call them the wind chime. Let's see if this one's going to join the club and spin like that. Oh, that one's going to be stubborn. But you got to throw these on even bigger tackle. I throw these on my 8-foot compray. That's this rod right here. So if you can see the writing on it, compray. There's all the particulars. 1 to 8 ounces. It's 8 feet long. I got this rod for $90, brand new. Liked it, bought another one. I have already caught fish on that big old thing. None of them over 4 pounds. Go figure. But bottom line, to get confidence in the heavy spinnerbait, throw it. Just throw it. Throw it anywhere you throw the other ones. The deeper that thing gets, the more fish you're going to catch. Now, of course, if you're up in 3 feet of water, yeah, you know, it's not going to be a big deal. But if you're starting in the summer and the winter when the fish are out a little deeper, yeah, that big blade's going to pay off big time. And the weight, rather. So that's how you get confidence in the big blade. The heavy blade. Throw it. Don't be afraid of it. Throw it. Throw it on the right tackle. Also, with these big blades, if you try to throw them on a 6 or 7 or an 8-to-1 reel, it's going to feel like you're dragging in a wet beach towel. Because those high-speed reels have no power. They've got speed, but they have no power. These are 4.7-to-1. They're 45 years old, thereabouts. They're awesome. You can buy them on eBay all day long. 5500C Ambassador. Knobs on both sides. You got a knob here and you got a knob there. The ones without that have the smooth palming plate over here are crap. So if you can't get an old one, don't buy one. 5500C, 4.7-to-1. I put a video on the other day of me fishing a demo with this thing right here, and you saw, could see I wasn't winding very fast, and it was staying right under the surface. So you need power. All right, I think that's all for the spinnerbaits. In a nutshell, add some weight to your spinnerbaits and throw them. You know, obviously you don't want to throw these big old giant blades in a lake where you don't think I wouldn't throw it on Altoona very much. You might. I know in the past we've caught big fish on them, but maybe certain times a year, not now, unless you had a good place to fish at night. But lakes that are primarily largemouth, and I've caught some big spots on these. One day I had a spot that weighed 4.5 and a largemouth that weighed 6.6 on the big willow leaf the same day. The big spot hit like a friggin' freight train. But you got to have a lake that's got largemouth in it, really. Spots will eat them, don't get me wrong, but a lake with a known population of larger largemouth, that's going to be the way to go. All right, anyway, that's pretty much all I got to say about the spinnerbaits.